These are very small container varieties. If you have an aversion to tomatoes because of the gel and the seeds and things, these tomatoes don't have very much of that. Grow in all the colors here. Grown ground cherries before, so I didn't know how prolific the plants are. And I can't seem to open up the packet either. It's not going well. The tomatoes and, ooh, that was a hot one. It's a very inexpensive way to start seedlings. You don't need the big bags of seed starting mix. Hey, what's up? My name is Crystal. Welcome. Today I'm starting tomatoes, ground cherries, eggplants, and tomatillos, which I'm really excited about because I've never grown before. I live in Connecticut, which is zone 6A or B, depending on what map you look at. And today is April 6th, 2022. Last year I started tomatoes and eggplants the same exact way. I believe it was April 7th. So I'm pretty much right on schedule to what I did last year, and it worked out very well. Last year was my first year growing seedlings using the peat pellets, and I love it. I really enjoy it. It's fun. The stuff comes in a kit, and who doesn't like a kit? Here is what the kit looks like when you get it new. This is their tomato and vegetable greenhouse. It has 16 cells. They expand to about 2.5 inches or so. They're the larger peat pellets. They have another size that they're smaller. These are much larger, and I really like them. I'm able to multi-sow seeds in them and then separate the seedlings so easy by peeling away the mesh that's on the outside of the pellet. Here are the supplies I have. Kettle of boiling hot water. I did need to refill that twice in order to get the pellets to fully expand. I also have all of my labels written out with the variety, and this time I also included who I got the seeds from. That way when I do videos during the summer, I'm able to easily look and see where the seeds came from. On the back of the label, I also am including the date that I am starting the seedlings. I also have all of my seeds. I had a kit already intact left over from last year that included the peat pellets and all the things that come in it. And then I have this tray that I'm reusing from last year. I had the refills. It's a very inexpensive way to start seedlings. You don't need the big bags of seed starting mix. Oh, I also have my fork, and that's just so that I can open up some of the pellets. Sometimes need to be broken up a little bit to put the seeds in. But other than that, that's really it. I have a 10-20 tray sitting on some cardboard just to protect my table a little bit. I'm going to open up all of the pellets that I have. There's 16 in here, and there's 16 cells inside the trays that they sit in. And then I also have the new kit here that I'm going to open. All I'm going to do is add boiling water to the tray here. Alright, that was an entire kettle's worth of boiling water. So I got some more boiling water. They did expand quite a bit, but I feel like they're still kind of dry on the top, so I'm just going to add some more. Alright, now we're just going to wait a few minutes for the peat pellets to fully expand, and then we'll do the next step. So as you can see here, the pellets are pretty, well, one, they're really hot, so be careful if you're using boiling water. And they look like they're pretty swollen, and they're wet on the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and move them now to the trays here. Oh, they are very warm. Very, very hot. I get so excited to start seedlings this way because it's fun. It's not tedious or anything, and you can get so many plants this way because it's just so easy to separate these type of seedlings. The tomatoes and, ooh, that was a hot one. The tomatoes and eggplants. And when I pot them up, they'll each go into their own, probably a 3.5 inch pot. Sometimes I use solo cups or reuse containers, but doing it this way is really easy. We have the peat pellets inside the containers here. I will have in the timestamps below the different sections of the different things I'm starting. If there's a particular part that you're looking for, I always, most likely, will have the timestamps in the description. You know what? I think I'm gonna let these cool a little bit before I start the seeds because I don't want to cook the seeds. So we're gonna let these cool off just a little bit more. Okay, they seem cool enough that they aren't, they're just warm now, they're not hot. I'm gonna start with the eggplants and then do the ground cherries, the tomatillo seeds, and then go through all of the tomatoes. First thing I'm gonna do is put my labels in so I don't make a mistake. The only problem with these labels is that they don't fit very nicely in the pellets. So these are eggplants that I normally grow. It's the organic Black Beauty eggplant seeds from Burpee. And I'm just gonna start 4 seeds. The next one I'm gonna start is the Rosetta eggplant, and that's from Baker Creek. The green tomatillo seeds from Burpee Organics. And never grown these before, and I can't seem to open up the packet either. This is not going well. Okay, there we go. I'm in there. Most of these seeds say to start 8 weeks before the last frost date, and the last frost date for us, ooh, these are tiny seeds. They're tiny. They're kind of like the ground cherry seeds a little bit. Next is the Aunt Molly's ground cherry. I don't know if you can see how tiny these seeds are. Next is the Kozak's pineapple ground cherry from Fruition Seeds. I don't know if you followed along with us last year, but we grew so many ground cherry plants. Way too many. I have a hard time getting rid of seedlings. I also had never grown ground cherries before, so I didn't know how prolific the plants are. One plant produces so many ground cherries. If you're looking for something that produces a lot of food and it's only one plant, ground cherries are it. I really wanted to try making a ground cherry salsa last year and I didn't get around to it, so I'm hoping that this year I'll be able to do that. Now we're gonna move on to the tomatoes. So excited. All right, so we're gonna start with the Sunrise Bumblebee tomato, and these are from Mowing organic seeds. All right, so I have 4 tiny seeds. These were some of my most favorite cherry tomatoes I've ever grown. They are so delicious. Normally I just grow regular red cherry tomatoes, and this was the first time I was growing something other than that, and they were for sure the best ones I've ever had. I'm trying the pink Bumblebee. So the Sunrise Bumblebees are like yellow pink. They're so pretty. And then these are more of a pinkish with a yellow tiger striping. Next is the Honey Drop cherry tomato. This is also a new one for me. These seeds come from Hudson Valley Seed Company. Next is the Rosella tomato. I grew these in 2020 and then did not grow them last year. I'm gonna try them again this year. And lastly is the black cherry tomato. This will be my 3rd year growing these. So the next tomatoes I'm starting, they are slicing tomatoes, but they aren't like the enormous, thick beefsteak tomatoes. Start with the Bonnie Best. I've never grown these ones either. It says, the medium-sized fruit is round, red, meaty, and flavorful. A good producer for fresh or canned. The next is Ace 55 tomato by MIgardener. These seeds are from 2020. And I really liked these tomatoes. A lot, actually. The Mountain Princess tomato, I really liked this one too. The standard, pretty much what I would call like a grocery store tomato. Just great for slicing and for sandwiches or salads. The Crimson Sprinter, kind of the same thing. A little different. It was a good producer. Same with the Mountain Princess. There was always tomatoes on it. And let's see here, the Vintage Wine. This wasn't the greatest for me last year. I honestly don't even know why I'm growing it again. Maybe because I just kind of want to give it another shot. But I think I may have gotten one, maybe, oh, it went right in there. So I guess we're gonna put 5 in. 1, maybe 2 good tomatoes off of this plant last year. Wasn't that great, but I always go err on the side of maybe I just didn't do the best that I could have done for that particular plant. Maybe it wasn't in the best location, I don't know. Next we have the big slicing tomatoes. Growing all the colors here. Let's start with the ones that I've grown before. So that would be the Abe Lincoln, the Cherokee Purple, and the Dr. Weish's Yellow Tomato. I first heard about this one, probably the same as a lot of people, from Jess over at Roots and Refuge. One of the best tomatoes I've ever had in my life. These, I did not grow them last year. How I got these seeds was because they started growing out of our compost bin. So I waited for some of them to ripen and then I saved the seeds. That's what we're gonna grow these from. This is kind of a big deal. This is the giant crimson tomato from MIgardener. And if you aren't familiar with the story about these tomato seeds, then I suggest checking out his videos and hearing about it. It's just a really, really cool story of how these seeds came back into circulation here. I was lucky enough to be able to buy them. When I originally went to order them, they were out of stock, and then I put myself on like one of the notification lists on his website, and then I was emailed when they were back in stock, and I immediately went on and bought 2 of these. There's only 5 seeds per packet, and we're gonna start all 5. So exciting. All right, Orange Jazz. Never grown this one before. That's what those seeds look like. Next is Purple Rain. This is by Baker Creek. And the Watermelon Beefsteak. This thing just looks so good. If you have an aversion to tomatoes because of the gel and the seeds and things, these tomatoes don't have very much of that. And they're really good for making salsas and sauces and things like that, in my opinion. So these ones I've grown before, the pink Oxheart, they do not like containers. They preferred my in-ground garden beds for sure. This is new for me. This one is the Upstate Oxheart Tomato. It's got one of the art seed packets from Hudson Valley Seed Company. These are just so cool. So this says, this pack is overpacked. What does that mean? These seeds exceed the federal standards for seed germination, but they fall a bit short of our higher in-house standards. So we put in some extra seeds to make sure you get plenty of plants. Just sow a few more seeds than you normally would, and you'll be good to go. That's pretty cool. And lastly, we're gonna start the paste or Plum or Roma tomatoes. These are the ones that I save for canning and things. We'll start with the ones that I grew last year. I have the Roma VF. It's from Mowing Organic Seeds. The Martino's Roma. I liked these plants because they produced early. I felt like I got tomatoes off of these much earlier than my other ones. So we're gonna do an Amish paste tomato. These ones are from Mowing Organic Seeds. The Opalka tomato. San Marzano tomato seeds. These ones are from MIgardener. So, I don't know if you notice here, but I have 2 spots without seeds in them. So I'm gonna have to put some seeds in there. I think I'm gonna do Tiny Tim, which I grew last year, and Orange Hat. These are very small container varieties, and I already have these ones growing in my arrow garden inside. The seedlings are looking really lovely. I have 4 of them growing, I think, in 1 cell, so I was thinking of separating them and putting a couple in pots. The labels that came with this are much better. Look at that. So much easier. This is the Tiny Tim. And the orange hat. And that's it. That's how they look. So the next step for these is I'm going to put the humidity dome on top, just like that. And then they're gonna go downstairs underneath the Growlights. If the germination of the seeds are good, then usually within a week they'll sprout up, but sometimes it takes longer. Once they sprout, I will probably take the humidity dome off and have the Growlights sit right on top of the seedlings here, just to keep them short and try and prevent them from getting too leggy. Probably closer to May, early May, I will separate these seedlings, and they will each get their own special cup and they'll hang out downstairs under the Growlights, and then I'll transfer them out to the greenhouse or one of the greenhouses outside to harden off before I transplant them outside, most likely the last weekend of May, which is usually Memorial Day weekend. I transplant tomatoes outside. So that'll do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And let me know in the comments below what tomato seeds you're growing this year, or if you're growing any of the kinds that I am, and how you're starting them. I would love to hear that stuff. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.